Alright, Raff Capashen is our commander. This is the historic spells have flash. It's champion, Wanderer, Avacyn, Boromir. Whenever opponent casts a spell, if no mana is spent to cast it, counter it, sacrifice him. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. The ring tempts you. Alright, Bruna buys back a human or angel. Original Norn, Afara, Begone, I'm not being sponsored by you. Beginning of your upkeep, you had another creature enter the battlefield under your control. Last turn, draw a card. Esper Sentinel, Fairy Mastermind. Faramir is legendary creature with mana value 4 or greater enters the battlefield under your control. You become the monarch. Beginning of your end step, if you're the monarch, create 2/1/1 human soldiers. The other half of Bruna, Grand Arbiter, Palavar, Hullbreaker Horror, Hydroelectric Specimen is the land dude. This Linvala is if you have a full party, choose target non-land permanent opponent controls until next turn. An attack, block, or activate abilities can't be activated. Choose Hexproof or Indestructible. Creatures you control gain that ability until end of turn. I'm assuming this one is just for that. It's not like you. Do you actually have the things necessary to make the full party to shut off their cards? Also, or is it just to protect your guys? This is the Malcolm that loots and eventually casts the spells he's looting away for free. Lifelink. Opponent attacks with creatures if two or more of them attack you or a planeswalker you control. Draw a card. Opponent casts their second spell. Draw a card. Combat damage to a player. Take an extra turn. Can't attack during extra turns. Stops you from playing spells or other people from playing spells during your turn, and then makes the soldier tokens. Metamorph. Pippin. Gains protection from the card type of your choice until end of turn. Stoneforge, Stoneweaver Giant, or Hewer Giant. That's the one from Assassin's Creed. Costs 1 less to cast for each historic card. And exile any number of historic cards with total mana value 30 to make all your creatures base 9/9. Whenever a player draws their second card during their turn, you draw a card. Whenever a player casts their second spell during their turn, create a 2/2. There's the reality chip. It is a legendary creature. Okay. Wavebreaker Hippocamp. Witch Enchanter. Seagate. Your library for a snow permanent, legendary, or saga. In your hand, then shuffle your library. You gain 1 life for each snow spent. Vanquish the Horde, Cyclonic Rift, Light and Tutor, Final Showdown, Path, Rewind, Sync, Swords, Protection, 3 Steps, Unwind, Signet, Zorius. X less to cast, where X is the mana value of historic permanents you control. Equipped creature gets +10/+0 and has vigilance, and equips to a legendary for 2. Stone, Helm of the Host, Cauldra, Lightning Greaves, Mindstone, Mithril Coat, Disc, Book of Legends, Robe of the Arch Magi. Draw that many cards. Equip 4, equip Shaman, Warlock, or Wizard 1. Shadow Spear, Soul Ring, Talisman, Key to the Vault. Equipped creature deals combat damage to a player. Look at that many cards from the top of your library. You may exile a non-land card from among them. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. You may cast the exile card without paying its mana cost. There's no maximum hand size. World Slayer. One or more creatures attack. You may have target attacking creature gain double strike. ECD, Prison, Remora, Propaganda. One mana of any color. 3, exile it. Return up to 1 target historic card from your graveyard to your hand, then exile all graveyards. Academy Ruins. Strand, Glacial Fortress, Hallowed Fountain, Hengegate, 3 islands, Core Haven, Archive, Tirith. Only if you attack with 2 or more creatures this turn. The top 5 cards of your library, you may reveal a historic card from among them, put in your hand, put the rest on the bottom. Mystic-Gate, Odawara, 4 planes. 1 mana, any color to cast legends. 1 mana of any color your legends are. Target legendary creature gains hexproof and indestructible until turn. Prairie Stream, Collecting Pool, Scavenging Grounds for Graveyards, Sea of Clouds, Expanse. Enters the battlefield, up to 1 target creature phases out. Tap, add colorless. 1 tap, add 1 mana of any color. 4, put in your hand from the put in from your hand onto the battlefield. Other way around. Windswept Heath. We have Windswept Heath, Balding Tarn, Flooded Strand, so are you happy with the number of fetch lands that you have, or is this because these are the ones that you have and you don't have the other ones? Okay. Usually I prefer to play all of the fetches that I can, but I also really like to run Sensei's Divining Top in Commander, so... that's more of a personal preference on my part. So let me see, I know you said things about... let's see... Best mana free spells, Ristic, Tithe on purpose, keep it casual but optimized. Okay. Because I did notice you had a bunch of the other ones that are similar to those cards in the one Esper Sentinel and Mystic Remora, so I was kind of curious what you had said about Tithe and Mystic Study. Let's see. So we're mostly looking for powerful legends that you can flash in, either to ambush players with, or so that way you can just untap and attack with them, I'm guessing. 36 lands with modal double face cards, okay. I'm glad it has that notation. That's actually helpful. Let's see. I think we can use this one. Back over here. So the commander is white, blue. Real quick. Because I did a blue-green commander last year with Doctor Who with the Historic Cards Matters. No, these are time counter things. Cast a historic spell, Investigate. Battlefield, create 2/2 white alien creature token. Where's the one? Oh no, that's right. We were creating token copies of historic cards. That's why I wound up with Romana. Okay. Create a food token. New affinity for historic permanents. Enters the battlefield. Exile target non-land permanent opponent controls until it leaves the battlefield. Eh. Yeah, I started off by building the Sixth Doctor and Ian Chesterton, and then did another build where we swapped Ian out for Romana the Second. But there doesn't seem to be enough overlap in caring about historic permanents in white from that deck. Exile creatures except those that share a creature type. A card, no. Store a card in your hand has cycling for white and 2. That's not super relevant. Target attacking historic creature gets +1/+1 and indestructible. Are there any ones you desperately need to be attacking with all the time? I don't think so. Yeah, that's what I was thinking, so I was double checking to make sure there wasn't anything I was forgetting. I have a lot of trouble remembering the cards from sets that I didn't draft a lot, like keeping all of the effects straight when I'm trying to come up with cards for commander decks. Those are the ones where I usually have to spend the most time actually reading every single card to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. But none of these desperately need to attack for their effects, so probably don't care about her either. If your upkeep, put a time counter on him. X top cards of your library. Non-land permanent with mana value. Fearless. Don't need the time traveling stuff. Counter target activated or triggered ability. Copy target activated or triggered ability. Autumn Soldiers enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield except it isn't legendary, isn't artifacted in addition to its other types, and has Myriad. Let's see. Lavison would always be fine. Having a backup of her is fine. Norn doubles up your triggers. Whisper Sentinel, Fairy Mastermind. Bruna, you can get back other cards. Halavar. Hullbreaker Horror. Bala, Loran. Loran, you get to destroy 2 things, and you get to make multiple players draw extra cards. Angara doubles up on the triggers. Badomi can give you another extra turn with that thing. Ooh, you can actually get a lot of extra turns if you can copy Madome. Imperial Shield of Argive. Fine, but not essential. Creature. Alright, I give up. Shut up, Automod. Really? Really? I want you to ban, like, actual what? Now I have to yell at Automod later. Wait, hang on. Okay. It didn't ban just the allow. Ah, there's the allow button. Yeah, I thought it banned you at first, and I'm trying to unban you. It's like, they're not banned, it's fine. It's like, okay. Like, that's not even the right context for that. Stop being weird, Automod. Stop making things weird. that weren't weird in the first place. You're doing bad this way. Yeah, the helm lets you make lots of extra copies of the creatures. I was thinking um, non-legendary copies of things besides the helm, especially since this one will then myriad itself. So if you copied um, Madami, then you actually get all of the extra turns if they can connect, and there are 4/4 flyers at that point. So they kind of actually have to be blocked, or you randomly time stretch. Let's see. I know I saw a couple of the double strike cards. Yeah, she's first strike. Torque, Mindstone, Mithril Coat. Oh, that was the other thing. While we're in this, so I always prefer Oblivion Stone to Navinral's Disc because on 8 mana you can just destroy everything immediately, so that way it doesn't give anybody a chance to do anything. You can flash in the disc, so that way it comes in end of one player's turn and untaps on your turn. But given that you can activate it at instant speed, um, mid combat with your commander by casting the orb, I do think Oblivion or not orb, Oblivion Stone might be a better mass removal spell. Right, the Duelist Heritage. Alright. What else do we have for historic spells? A lot of card draw. You have a lot of card draw. Is Eidetic Memory just not anything you're interested in? You don't need to pump up any of your guys particularly strong, or is it because most of your card draw is happening not on your turn? So you're not getting the extra 1/1 counters on everybody else's turn? Sort by group tags at top right. Subtype, type and tags, color identity, mana value, rarity set, artist, no grouping. There's an advanced one. Type, end tag, rarity. Aha. Lands. Avacyn, Disc, and World Slayer. Into the Fading Light, Giselle the Broken Blade, Helm of the Host. Alright, so when does protect until end of turn your life total can't change, you gain protection from everything, all permanents you control phase out. So you can't really world ender or disc with Teferi's protection up. And since your commander would phase out, you wouldn't be able to flash in the thing that's blowing up the world. So you're blowing up the world, and then you're responding with Teferi's protection instead of Casting Teferi's Protection first. Okay. Now, I was thinking about the new one, the one from Bloomborough. Let's see. Go back. Gatherer. White. Bloomborough. That's the stupid give the egg back, gives all of your things indestructible. Dawn's Truce. Gift a card. You and permanents you control gain hexproof until end of turn. If the gift was promised, permanents you control also gain indestructible until end of turn. You also have Cauldra, so you can just have one of your things survive. I guess you don't need to be giving other people cards, risking them actually drawing an interaction piece. Computer search for Glorystone Forge Saga. Sink into Stupor, Swords, the Wanderer, 3 steps ahead, Unwind, Witch Enchanter. Yeah, he can give indestructible. That's true. Looking at this the wrong way. If we go back here, get rid of this. If the big thing you're trying to do is blow up the board while everything has indestructible, then we just need the things in your color pair that have the word on them. One creature is not good enough. Giving it to themselves is not good enough. Until end of turn, each other creature you control gets +1/+1. Oh no, this just cares if they have the word indestructible on them. It does not grant it. The will grants it though. Creatures you control gain lifelink, indestructible, and protection from all colors. That was not on here, right? Your Final Showdown, Hydroelectric, Core Haven. Okay. That is another way to protect all of your stuff, and giving all of your creatures protection from all colors means that they're also unblockable a lot of the time. So if you can just get in for damage and lethal, especially if they suddenly also had double strike. Choose a creature type. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+0 and indestructible. I don't know that you have enough overlap for that one. You do have a fair number of angels, though, and humans, so maybe as a 2-mana way to do that, that might not be terrible. Just gives your commander indestructible, makes Avacyn tokens. All of these, we already have Boromir. As long as you have 30 or more life, equipped creature is +5/+5 and indestructible. Nope. Okay. Flying an indestructible if you can't sacrifice the monument. Enters the battlefield, put an indestructible counter on another target creature you control. Draw a card if that creature's power was 2 or less. No. It's Angel, no. Indestructible until end of turn. Probably not with the bobblehead. That's a bit too mana intensive, and the other bobbleheads aren't really doing much for you, I don't think. Want everybody lives because that affects the other player's stuff. Flawless Maneuver, Grand Crescendo. Already have Linvala. Alright, so the biggest problem is that if we take things out that work with your other Historic Matters cards, then we're diminishing them. Nah, I can see that. So... Creature has Indestructible... Rel, Pippin, Plaza, Propaganda, Protection, and the Wanderer. Alright, so we don't really have room under Protection. Is there anything else where it's also not in line with your main focus? Have room to maneuver. Go back to type for a second. Very Mastermind. So Mastermind is not legendary, so it's not helping any of the things. It's just card draw. Zella, Grand Arbiter, Halavar, Hullbreaker Horror, Ran, Malcolm, Ami, Myrel, Metamorphs, Historic. Stoneforge isn't. It gets a Historic permanent, though, each time it enters. Same for the Stonehewer Giant. Breaker Hippocamp isn't, but it's letting you draw a card on the opponent's turn. Witch Enchanter. Down Path to Exile, Rewind, Sink into Stupor, Swords, Protection, 3 steps ahead. Alright, all of these are artifacts, so they meet the thing regardless. Sleep Prison, Mystic Remora, and Propaganda. Cast Historic spells as though they had Flash. Oh, that just does that. Visual Grid, Visual Stacks. Cost. Is there a way to search this page, like the game text of all of your cards? Like if I wanted to know how many of your cards reference Historic. Geyser Drake instead of a Mana Rock. Fine. As long as it's not your turn, spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. So that's the 3 mana one. There was another one. Or was it also a 3 mana flying creature? The Naiad. I can select Spoiler. Spoiler. Is there any way I can search the actual cards while it's set up like this so that I can see how many times they reference, like, historic or something? Also 3 mana, but not flying. Let's see, you already have Arcane Signet, Azorius Signet, Relic, Talisman, a Thought Vessel. There's your Mind Stone. Oh no, that's Mind Stone. We have there's Felwar. Okay. Soul Ring. Draw that many cards. We're thinking about losing a mana rock for a 3-drop that may. So the thing about using cost reduction spells, they only matter more than the mana rocks if you're going to cast more than 2 spells of the type they reference during a turn cycle. So if you're having the problem that you can't cast multiple counter spells over the course of several turns, then cost reduction effects are probably a lot better for you. If you're only casting like one spell that fits that category per turn cycle, though, then the mana rock is probably better because it's more consistent. And that it can work for any spell you need it to, not just the ones that you're casting under the conditions of the cost reduction spell. That's the way I always look at cost reduction spells. If I'm going to get more than 1 mana's worth out of that particular card every turn cycle, then it's worth, at that point it's functioning more like a soul ring than it is a mana rock, like a 1 mana rock. But if you're only going to get 1 mana out of it, or you're only going to get 1 mana out of it sometimes, and maybe 2 sometimes, then the mana rocks that just tap for mana are better, because then you're actually getting your mana's worth every single time you use it. But yeah, if you're casting a lot of spells on your opponent's turn, especially if you find that you're really squeezing your mana too much, then having a cost reduction effect that affects those spells on your that you're casting on your opponent's turn, assuming that they don't fit into some other category very readily. Because the only thing that reduces all casting costs affects everybody, so that's usually not what you're looking for. But if the big thing is that you need to be able to cast all of the spells on the opponent's turns, then yeah, I could see bringing in a cost reduction card for that actually reduces your casting costs on your opponent's turns. Okay, let's do it the other way then. What white and blue cards that care about historic are we not running? Is there anyone we're missing that can help you with the casting costs? You may look at the top card of your library anytime. You may play historic lands and cast historic spells. Taps to add blue. You're already running the equipment one. Would the Crystal Skull be better for the extra mana? Because you already don't get to cast the top spell of your deck anyway until you've reconfigured it. Is it for getting to cast the instants and sorceries off of the top? Because you're spending 5 mana and not getting an extra mana back from the artifact each time. Okay. That's true. You can play any of your lands. You wouldn't need to have, like, the artifact lands or anything for the historic part to matter. Alright. Daring Archaeologist, no. Return each non-land permanent that's not historic to its owner's hand. Enters the battlefield, and whenever one or more assassins you control deal combat damage to a player, return a historic card from your graveyard to your hand. Eh. Target non-land historic permanent, no. Replicator, no. Just convoke. It's the investigate one we saw before. That's the buff one. Mill 3 cards. Once during each of your turns, you may play a historic card or cast a historic permanent spell from your graveyard. If you do, it gains if this permanent would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. Grand Gateway. Destroy artifacts and creatures. Return target historic permanent from your graveyard to the battlefield. It enters with 2 additional 1/1 counters. Probably not. Is this really all of the cards that reference historic in this color pair? I guess so. I thought there'd be more. And you're already running most of the good ones. Not all of the good ones. Okay. Yeah, no, like, it seems fine. It's definitely got a theme, and all of the cards seem to be working towards that theme, with the exception of a few utility cards to make sure that you actually have your bases covered, so I think it looks fine overall. Like I said, I think the biggest thing would be replacing Navindrel's Disc with Oblivion Stone. I'm never good at figuring out the numbers on like numbers for power levels. I just go by how they feel, and try and make sure that I match the people I'm playing against as much as possible. So that way I don't have to. I don't ever want to stomp anybody, and I don't want to get stomped either. So I try and match their power level based on what I know about their commander and what cards they usually tend to run in decks that use that commander, but then I adjust based on what they actually show me during the games. Like, if I'm playing against somebody and they've got, like, what looks like a top tier commander, but then their deck is just full of, like, random stuff, then I'll stop playing with my more broken commanders and break out the lower ones. Yeah, like I said, I don't really know how to do the numbers properly. I just care that I'm having good games with the people that I'm playing with, and that they're not miserable for having to play against, like, the higher power level decks that I have. And then every once in a while, I just feel like playing a deck because I haven't played it in a while. But yeah, I don't know the actual math. I know that there's, you know, a general consensus, like power levels and numbers, and then, like, certain cards have certain values, and they help you figure out uh, what the actual deck, like, power level wise is. But, like, most of my decks are, like, middle of the road with a handful of cards that really push them, and then every once in a while I have a deck that is just absolutely absurd, and I only take it out when I'm on a big losing streak and I need something powerful for the table that I'm playing with, or when everybody's being a jerk and I need to actually win games. But those are like the infinite turn Nin deck, and I have one that I haven't actually assembled that I've been putting together, kind of like how I'm doing with my deck building series. And but this was before I started streaming. I have an Orvar deck that I'm pretty sure I can get infinite mana on turn one with him with the right draw, so that's another one that I'm kind of want to have in my back pocket in case everybody's bringing their super competitive commander decks to the game. Which I've been playing long enough. I've played Vintage, so I don't mind high power level. I don't get upset by that. I just like to also have the high power level deck when we're playing, if we're going to do that. But yeah, other than that, I don't think you need to change much. I think your deck is fine. That's probably the most glaring issue when I saw it was the Navinral's disc over the thing. Ooh, cubes. Like, anybody who builds their own cube and does well with it, I'm really happy for them, because cubes, I would have such a hard time balancing. Never actually tried to build my own cube before. Yeah, the problem is I think I would overpower it a bit too often, and trying to figure out, like, when I see some of the variations on the vintage cube and what people are adding and taking away in order to get the balance for it, I'm always very impressed, because it changes a lot of the dynamic of cards to the point where it's like, yes, if you get Moxen and Time Walk and whatnot, you're still going to be incredibly powerful, but there's a lot more deck synergies going on, and a lot more draft something, like actually draft a strategy, as opposed to just, okay, I'm gonna draft a handful of big cards that 2-card combos just win the game. You know, I have my channel and my 3 giant colorless spells, or I have like all of the storm pieces, and I like seeing cubes where it's like, no, you're supposed to draft like these utility creatures and they all work well together, and these spells, and try and build an actual functional deck instead of just a handful of the most powerful cards ever printed. Yeah, themes help a lot too in order to get the cube to feel unique and interesting. I always like the original Legend Cube, like the original Legend Cube from MTGO, and then they changed it by having a bunch of the creatures not be legendary anymore, and I was so sad. But no, I like this deck where everything is a legendary creature, and most things have like a medium to high mana cost, and you're doing all this stuff. Of course, I also won really. I did a lot of winning with that thing because nobody liked the Shattergang brothers or Ashling the Pilgrim, and I kept winding up with like drafting a bunch of red artifact removal and then following it up with a bunch of creatures that controlled the board really well. Ah, I missed that cube. Eh, is that for you? No. See, here's an example of what I like doing. It's hard to balance and fun to play, and everything is support. Okay, let's take a look real quick. Giant Keeper, Prince, Dragon Slayer. Search your library for a legendary card, reveal it, put it in your hand. Raid livestock dies into the 4 constituent pieces. Cat with lifelink, 1/1 bird with flying, 2 for ox. Oh, it's only 3 pieces. Why did I think there were 4 of them? For each of those tokens, you may put an aura card from your hand or graveyard onto the battlefield attached to it. break the spell, tutor, erase, business, silence, retrieve, stroke. I was going to assume that based on the number of Eldraine cards in it already and the handful of non-Eldraine cards, it's like, yeah, these all seem to have a bit of a fairy tale aesthetic to them, even when they're not from Eldraine. So, a beginning of your upkeep, if there are 5 or more colors among permanents you control, there are 6 or more card types among permanents you control, and or cards in your graveyard, and your life total is greater than or equal to your starting life total, you win the game. Fairies, billion click, dragons, a fancy whale. Because it gives you the 2/2 tokens that are all colors. Okay. Gotta have at least one giant whale. So, you did pick this one, which has more of the Moby Dick feel because it has the pirates that have to attack. Did you consider the other whale that swallows things until it leaves the battlefield? Or was that one just proving too powerful? Because if you wanted to match more thematically, I think that would be the better giant whale for you. I think it's from like M10 or M11. Cat, we have Spiteful X Mage, Yara, Order, Rodent of Unusual Size, Swarm, Tangled Colony, Seated Witch, Skitter, Cursed Witch, Sting Fairy. Alright. Oh no, wait, the Cursed Witch is returning to the battlefield. Oh, right, it is the curse. It's not the one that dies to fetch a curse. Okay. I was gonna say, I did not remember seeing any of the blue curses, but she's the one that just turns into the curse herself rather than letting you tutor one. I think it's Bitterheart Witch is the tutor then. Ever After. Taste of Death, Witch's Cauldron, Hopeless Nightmare, Bitter Blossom, Blessing, Vanity. Veteran, the Champion, Slumbering Dragon. Ah, I love Sleepy Time Dragon. You have his alarm clock in here. It's the ring of. It's one of the ring. It's the red ring from the Chandelar cycle where it puts a 1/1 counter on him each upkeep if he's red. And that way you can wake him up faster. I only got that once in Limited. I don't think I ever successfully woke him up with it either. But it was fun. Okay. Crusher Giant, Imodane's Recruiter, Merchant, Aladdin, Firstborn, Song of Totentants, Shenanigans, Fish, Aladdin, Crystal Slipper. That is still my favorite sneak attack. Just so adorable. We get into green, we have Edgewall Innkeeper. Ah, it's Wesley. Hi, Wesley. Working Crocodile. Oh, are you here to eat Captain Hook's hand? Is that your thing? All right, fine. You can stay then. Provisioner, Wildwood Mentor, Swimming Tortoise. Fables. Cards. There's Wide Celebration, Huntsman's Redemption. Fable, Likeness Looter, Italian. Here. Dance, Agatha, Ruby. Strike Vision. Oh right, he's what's her name? Samut. Or Gil Wayne, the casting director. Yell. Love Yenna. Yenna was so much fun in Wilds of Eldraine. We're told Neva. Goose. Soul Singer. Well, Balin. Hi, Balin. Rith. Oh, right, she's Captain Sasay. Bob. Amity's Augur. Okay. Wolfener. I do have the hook hand. Okay. We have the three. Yeah, we do have the three pieces of the Empire. Okay. Caliber. A healthy dose of dual lands. Blue. 2 white blue, 2 blue black. Black red, red green, white green. Black white. Blue, black green, white red. Blue green. Castles. 2, 3, 4, 5 Evolving Wilds. 5 Fabled Passage. Thriving Lands and Vivid Lands. Nope, looks good. Everything looks on theme. Hey, Naku. I should probably get going. I do have work in a little while, and I need to get ready. But I hope I helped you a little bit with your deck, and I will see you next time. So, thank you, and we'll end it here. And I will see everybody else next time too. Watching, and have a good rest of your day.